Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee here. There have been some changes with warnings which have been discontinued for New Jersey, western Long Island, coastal southwestern Connecticut from New Haven westward. Also canceled, of course, for New York City and Westchester County, but they stay up for eastern Long Island, east of Route 112. So basically from Fire Island inland to Port Jeff Harbor eastward, and from New Haven eastward to include all of southern New England. What's happening with Hermine is that we're seeing this non-tropical cyclone strengthening a bit and also beginning to produce convection again on the western side. This is something that was absent for the last day and a half to 2 days, as it's looking like it's moving to the north and will eventually take a hook to the northwest, and we'll see how far west it gets. Here's a close-up view, and you can see the center here. Just right about there, just kind of making that very slow. It's moving very, very slowly, but that center is hooking more to the north now. But I want to point out, and this was the big forecast error by the models, the storm was supposed to begin its turn west of 70, along about 71 or so, which would have hooked it back into this area, but instead it was able to get all the way out to almost 68 west. So that's a full almost 150 miles further east, maybe even 200 miles further east than what models were indicating just a couple of days ago. So the hook is taking place, but it's taking place further out. It's finally coming under the influence of that big upper air storm we've been talking about to the west. It needed to happen sooner. So probably the fact that it moved off the North Carolina coast Saturday morning as opposed to, say, Saturday evening made a huge difference, and that it was able to just move out here to the northeast and east at about 14 or 15 miles an hour. And that really was the main reason why we see the coastal areas of New Jersey and western Long Island spared and actually enjoyed a very, very nice day on Sunday. Now, clouds are arcing back westward. You can see that there, and they seem to be building to the south and east. So all of this may eventually work its way at least inland to the coast with regards to what we might see Sunday night for Monday, Labor Day. And I think will be especially true for Long Island, as a heavier overcast seems to be now approaching the east end. I think the greatest threat for any kind of rain or tropical storm conditions with regard to wind will probably be confined to eastern Long Island, east of Riverhead, and southeastern Connecticut, barring any kind of last-minute westward, extra westward jog. Here's the GFS model tonight, and you can take a look at what it does. And it actually starts the westward turn between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. Now, we're going to know shortly whether that's correct or not. It doesn't really hold on to the rain. One of the things that happens over time over the next 2 days is that the cyclone is actually going to weaken as it moves westward and then gradually starts to take a northward drift. It still has it meandering around off of Nantucket as a weakening low Wednesday night. Now, as far as our own weather is concerned, once this gets out of the way, there's a lot of very warm air that's building out to the west, and I'll show you on the upper air what's going on. I'm going to switch to a wider region here, and we can take a look at the upper air analysis with all this. And there you have it. It's finally been captured by that upper low out in the ocean, but this really needed to be right along the coast for us to have any kind of real impact from this. And the fact that the upper low is sitting offshore, the surface low is right underneath it, it's just too far to the east. It has a tough time getting out of the way because you have this ridge in the Atlantic, but we also have this big ridge that's building from the Gulf states northeastward, and gradually that's going to try and take over for a day or two. So we could get into some hot weather here late in the week. Some areas may actually start to see it on Wednesday if you're away from the coast, but even coastal areas of New Jersey might be able to catch the warming. Long Island might have a little bit of a tougher time, but then that ridge builds in, and you can see the westerly flow continues just to our north, and it won't be until maybe Saturday night or Sunday when another front moves through, and that trough, this next trough, comes through in the northern jet. But the that northern jet stream doesn't get too far south, so it's probably likely to stay fairly warm and very warm, in fact, as we look forward through much of next week until a stronger trough is forecast to come through, or at least approach sometime along about the around September 18th or so, according to the GFS. But even here, it doesn't look very strong at all. We have to carry it out if we just want to carry it out through the end of the period. It looks like the weather is going to stay relatively warm, at least into the middle part of the month. So check the website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com, and of course SNSstormchasers.com for all the latest weather developments. And we'll keep you posted during the day regarding any weather that winds up happening in eastern areas.